Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Davis, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am hard to kill. And before I introduce my guest, I do want to remind everyone that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Pocketjack Comics, who have books like Palace of the Golden Princess and White Lily. And you can find their books at pocketjackcomics.com. And my good friend Preston has a Kickstarter either going on right now or in a few weeks. So be on the lookout for that book. It's an awesome book. And I personally love Palace of the Golden Princess because there's some interesting things in there. There are some interesting things in there, and the art is absolutely beautiful, and the story is a pretty good story too. And if you're a fan of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, I want to make that crystal clear, but there is some of the other D&D in there too. Definitely go check that book out. But enough of that, because I have with me comic creator Dwayne Madry. So welcome to the show.
Good to be here. I've got people, give me the link, send me a link. So I'm doing that too. It's good to be here. How are you?
I'm okay. It's been an eventful month, but I don't want to get into it too much. You know, the people who need to know what's going on, and the people who don't, well, it's not important. In which that's all I'm going to say. But you got a Kickstarter going on with, and I'm going to try to get the name right, and I know you're going to kill me if I get it wrong because we went over it 5 times. Sahael. Sahael. I get it wrong every time. Every time I get it wrong. I know I'm going to get it wrong. I try, and what did I say to you? I say, you don't kill me if I get it wrong.
And I won't this time.
So obviously, this is the second Kickstarter that you're running for the graphic novel, if I'm not mistaken.
Or at least the third. The first 2 were successful. Now we're doing the third. But yeah, the first one was to kickstart everything. The second one was to do the volume 1, book 1, and now this is volume 1, book 2.
So again, I actually thought that this was the second, but I guess it's the third. I thought the first one was the novel stuff.
That's right. You're correct. It was the novel, and then now these are the graphic novels.
I thought I was right, but I digress here. It's not about
you're right. You're right.
But we're gonna get into your whole Kickstarter, this whole world, everything that's going on. But I do want to give you a chance to introduce yourself because there's some people who know who you are, and there's other people who don't, because the world of comics is so big right now that people might remember you from our first interview, but also people forget because when you do so many interviews and there's so much content out there. So why don't you quickly introduce who you are, because there's, again, people might forget, or they might be seeing you for the first time.
Yeah, everyone, hi. My name's Dwayne Madry, founder and CEO of Sahael. That's my name. A little bit about me. Created a 30-volume book series consisting of over 250 books and building over 100 side stories with graphic novels for every single novel. And then in return, we'll have animation and then TV and movies coming soon as well. And then, years down the road. But I started this when I was 16, and we've been doing it since. And we're going strong. We have momentum, and we're copyrighted, trademark registered. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, so let's get into this world, because what is the basic premise of the book? Because obviously this is not your first one out there. You did a bunch of novel stuff on Kickstarter, then you did the first graphic novel, and then this is the second one that nobody has yet because it's still being kickstarted, for lack of a better word. Like I don't know how to say that any other way, right? Like, so what's the basic premise? Because obviously we kind of get an idea what you're doing, but again, people come across stuff on Kickstarter and there's so much content that it's kind of like, what do you do now?
So the basic premise is, it's Afrofuturism, first and foremost, okay? So it's a retelling of the history of the diaspora in an Afrofuturistic setting. So to give you some ideas, a picture Black Panther and Star Wars gets together and they have a baby.
So sorry to interrupt, but
then that baby grows up.
Yeah. So sorry to interrupt, but what's that first thing you mentioned? Because I am not familiar with that at all.
So it's Afrofuturism.
That I know a little bit about, but you mentioned something before.
The diaspora?
Yeah, because I don't know anything about that or.
Yeah. So basically, when I say the
I'm not trying to be ignorant, right?
no,
Like
no,
I'm
that's
not
fine.
trying.
I'll
Like
explain it.
I've never heard that before in my life. So
Yeah, let's break it down. So when I talk about the diaspora, what does that consist of? The diaspora is a group of individuals who were part of the slave trade that were brought over into the U.S. And so those are individuals who were taken from their country, okay, and brought over here unwillingly against their will. So that's what you consider the diaspora. So they were taken not only just in the U.S. but also, um, the U.K., Haiti, and so Haiti, Jamaica, all these other places where you see large populations of Black people. Those are remnants, or they're called the diaspora, for lack of a better word. I don't want to get into it to go too technical, but that's the premise of it. With that said, now when we say Afrofuturism, it's a retelling, meaning this is probably what it could have been had they been left alone to grow into what they were supposed to become. And so that's why we call it Afrofuturism, a retelling of our history through the lens of Afrofuturism.
because the reason why I wanted to break that down is that I knew what Afrofuturism was, and I think a lot of people know. But that first thing, I had no idea, and I never heard that before. And so obviously, I want to get everybody on the same page when obviously we're talking about this book. And so obviously, because this book deals with a lot of interesting things that are going on. And the way I read it, and maybe I have a different interpretation, is that kind of a princess or a former princess gets kicked out of what is hers, and she's kind of coming back to take it back. And I mean, it's more complicated than that, but that's how I read it. Okay, like
correct.
So
yeah, you have a copy. So I remember I sent you a copy. So, and for lack of a better word, yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? And so what it is it's about these four girls. So what happened is their world gets turned upside down with the invasion of Lord Commander Nodus, all right, which is Satan spelled backwards. So anyhow, he invades and he disperses their bloodline. And so what happens is, as he disperses their bloodline, he destroys their country and enslaves the people. And so what happens is Sahel becomes uninhabitable, and so everyone just leaves. And so the story is about these girls and their moms who had their moms played a big role in this part. These girls, and so they end up at the age of 3, and then they end up coming. They come of age at the age of 18, and they have this burning desire to want to come home. And there's a reason why. So it's they feel the call to want to come home, but in order for them to come home, there's some trials and tribulations they're going to have to go through in order to get home. And so with that, you see the story unfolds where it starts off with all 4 of them, and then it veers off into one of them, and then so the first 4 volumes, so volume 1's got 5 books. So here's there's 5 novels in the first 5 volumes. So there's 20 books total, but you're going to see one of these for each of the novels. So you get to, not only do you get to read it, but you get to see it visually as well.
So there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, these girls have powers, and they're kind of figuring out what those powers are. And then they're figuring out also they come across different allies, different issues. There's obviously internal conflicts going on. They're also figuring out what, great, you have a power. What the hell is this power, and how do I master it? Because it's not like you have a manual instruction book to deal with it. So, there's all of that in there. And obviously each of these girls has their own issue that they got to deal with in some degree. And obviously I think we only saw 1 or 2 of them. I don't know what volume 2 deals with exactly and what girl it deals with, but I know volume 1, we really dealt with kind of one.
So when you go into volume 2, what it does now is it's going to focus, because when you read the first one, it's you see all 4 of them, and then it shifts to Odira, because it's about her. The first 4 books about the first 4, and it had to be told that way for a reason, because the 5 signs are associated with the first 4 girls, not the 5th sign, of course. But with that said, It focuses on Odira and then her journey. However, when you go into the second, not only does it focus on her journey, it then focuses on the signs of the times. The second sign that's associated with her. So you'll see the second, third, and fourth sign in volumes two, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. But the second sign starts in volume 1. The fourth sign you'll see in volume 4. I mean, the first sign you'll see in volume 4 for a reason, because I wanted to set it up to where each one gets better and better and better. But there's no way you can top the first sign, which is why I made it the fourth, which is why you'll hear about it fourth.
So I don't want to dive too much into that because obviously I want people to read this and pick up the novels and all that stuff. But I am curious because what is this like? Because obviously the novels are set up a little bit different than the graphic novels, and I think they have to be because I don't think you can do. I mean, legally you can do whatever you want to do. I mean, if you want to do 30,000 graphic novels, be my guest, right? But to maintain an audience, adapting a novel directly into a graphic novel and doing one for one can be a very challenging task. And so what is that like? Because I think that's also interesting. Even by a team, it could be difficult because it just takes time to produce things.
It does.
I mean, writing a novel is much easier than doing a graphic novel.
Yes, it is. This is true.
It's cheaper too, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is definitely cheaper.
So yes,
but it's worth it though. It is definitely worth it. And I'm doing all this because everyone's like, send me a link. But no, it is definitely worth it because you get to see a visual representation of the world that's created. And you know as well as I do, if you've got the artwork behind the words, it's a win-win. People want to see more. And I know that. I've already sold out.
Do you also feel, because this is something that's interesting also, and this is just my opinion, is that because comics, I think, are the only genre, and feel free to disagree with me, is that you use both sides of your brain essentially in a comic, in which that you use both sides. And I don't want to I'm no brain expert, but you use your visual side of your brain and you view your reading, writing, comprehension side. And it's a medium at the same time. And it's a unique medium in that regard. And also in many ways, it can be a gateway because to some degree, I mean, and so depending on who you're targeting, obviously novels target a particular, because I think this is a novel, right? I mean, that's how you would classify your product as a novel, right?
Yeah, there's a novel, and then there's the graphic novel / comics as well, and then animation, TV, and movies coming.
Again. I don't know how you classify. That's why I asked the question because I don't want to be insulting, right? But the point I'm making is that a comic in many ways can be an introduction level to the novel side, because in many ways a graphic novel, I think, it's visuals and you can see something, and maybe 50 years ago that'd be different, but in today's age, I think a graphic novel is a much easier sell. Saying, I got this graphic novel. Oh, you want more information? Oh, I got the whole novels that back it.
That's exactly what we did. And then when the comics come, that'll be like on a very small scale. When you start to appear into the world, we got 24, 25 pages. I mean, you get the peek into the world. I mean, which gives you obviously another revenue stream, but it just gives you another way to look at it and take it in increments. Because as you know, when you read the graphic novel, it's deep, it's emotional, it's gripping. It's not one of those ones you have to, when you read it and you come out reading it, you're like, oh, you got to think about it. It makes you want to read it. It's captivating, but it's heavy.
Yeah. I mean, the art's cool on it, but obviously, I don't want to dive too deep into this because obviously there's a lot going on. Obviously, we're dealing with a lot of stuff. It's a pretty heavy component there. And there's a lot of stuff going on in this, and I find it fascinating because it just is that. But I do want to dive into a little bit more of the creative stuff because I think that's more interesting in many ways, at least for me, is that you have the novel stuff and you have a relatively creative world already. And so, I mean, I don't think the graphic novels are meant to replace the novels. And you did send me a bunch of the novels. I just didn't get around to reading them. I'm the first person to say it. I got a lot of stuff going on, but I read the graphic novel. But I think the graphic novel and the novel are supposed to be almost companions to some degree.
Yes, they are. Because what you read in the novel, for the most part, you're going to see visually in the graphic novel. So
I would imagine there's a few changes here and there for
no, for the most part, what you see is it's pretty streamlined. So basically, you know, like in a movie when you see a book, and in the movie they only take out they did it a certain way, but you miss out. Like when you saw Lord of the Rings, you would be like, okay, it's, you know, there was one point where they were at Bobado's house for like 3 months in the book, but they didn't leave for a while, and so stuff like that is not there. It's streamlined. But what we decided to do is some of that stuff is there, but we did it that way for a reason. Why? For proof of concept, because we know when it goes to animation, follow the exact same thing, and when it goes to movie, you can follow the exact same thing, and then we get to pick and choose what we want to put in there.
Fair enough. The reason why I asked this is that I'll give you a better example. Jaws. Have you read Jaws, and have you seen Jaws, the movie?
No, I haven't. Not yet, at least.
You've never seen Jaws?
Jaws. Oh, I thought you said something. Yes, I've seen Jaws. Yes.
Have you read Jaws?
No, I have not.
Oh, Jaws, great book, right? What they did in the movie, so there's so much detail in the book that what they took out in that movie is brilliant, because you don't need all the New England glamour of Jaws in the movie. I just want to see a shark kill somebody. Like, exactly. But they got all of the stuff they needed. And that's why I bring this up. When you start going into graphic novels and other media, I don't need, you know, in Lord of the Rings, for them to spend 3.5 months at Bigelow Baggins' house, right?
True.
We don't need that. I'm sorry.
No, we don't. But some of us like that.
I understand. You know what it is? I'll make you an animation just for you, okay? If that's what you want, you know. But there's a reason why you don't need all that because after a while, I'm not interested in spending 20 minutes in Bigelow Baggins' house to get that done. It's a 7-minute clip, if at most.
Correct.
We need them throwing around in The Hobbit, though, all the cups and not dropping it, and you're wondering, is one going to drop? Like, we needed that. Because that's like the best scene in The Hobbit. But I digress. But the reason why I bring this up is that I find it interesting when you start having a world that's created and you start having adaptations, companions, and you have other things that are all brought in, because this is where it gets tricky, because going from media A to B to C to D, that can be a complicated entity on what you want to do, what you can do, what you can't do, and even how you fund it. And so I'm curious how you balance all that, because I think that's what's a complicated component sometimes when you're translating media into different media sects, for lack of a better word.
You know, to be honest, I didn't really think about it. It just needed to be done, so I did it. You know,
Fair enough.
I knew what I wanted to do, and I don't know. I didn't see it as difficult because I saw it as it has to be done. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. So I did it.
Let me ask this. Do you think that it was easier, per se, with going from a novel to a graphic novel? Because it's still, you know, you're writing it, and then you're still very much under your control of Kickstarter, right? Versus when you start going to animation, because animation is expensive. So I'm not saying comics aren't expensive, but comics are significantly cheaper than making an animated television show, by far.
Yeah.
So once you start getting into, because I think Avatar: The Last Airbender, the graphic novel costs anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 to make. One of those big 144 pages. You can't make an episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender for $30,000.
No, you cannot.
It's a great show, but it's expensive to make. That's my point, is that if an episode of that show costs $50,000, you know, all of a sudden you might have to start picking and choosing, saying, we can't spend 7 months in Bigelow Baggins' house, guys. Like, we just don't have the budget, right? Like,
agreed.
So I'm wondering if that's also part of it, is that in comics, if you want to spend 3 months in a sector, you know, in this land, you can, because also in comics, it could be 3 panels.
Agreed. And you go right through it in 3 panels.
Or it could be like 2 pages.
So,
And 2 pages isn't that expensive. I mean, what is 2 pages at the most? Like, I mean, what would it be?
$1,000 on high end.
1,000 on high end, right? I was even going to be saying it might be 500 in indies, or maybe 600 at most. But 1,000, it might. $1,000 in the long run isn't that much money.
Correct, because when you understand, and the reason why it's easier to do that is when you know you have something solid where you've got investors lining up, it makes it all worth it.
Also, it's you could also just say fuck it, because you're saying, look, it's $1,000 on kickstarting this, and I'll make the money on the back end over the long run, right? Even if you don't have investor money, you could say, look, I'm going to print 10,000 copies of this. So if I spend $1,000 and I'm printing 10,000 copies, what is that, like $1? What is it, like 10 cents extra if you put it across the whole cost against units sold?
Yep, you get 10,000 copies from these. They charge you $1 a copy.
Oh no, I meant you're doing a calculation of what the page cost. They spend the extra.
Correct, yes.
That's the calculation for those who aren't understanding exactly what I was going with. That's why I bring this up the way I bring it up, is that. But I just find it interesting, because when you have so much content, like, and you have 30 books written,
30 volumes, 250 books.
Great.
100 side stories of 100 additional books.
The point is that, like, what is that like too? Because you have your world pretty well developed.
Yes, it took me over 20 years. It's very well developed. Every nuance you could ever think of, it's there.
It's crazy. I'm so lazy. Yeah, it's just so not my sector. It's so not my sector. I'm such a numbers guy. Like I'm the COO of a company, right? Like, I don't want to be the CEO. I'm the CEO. I'm the chief operating officer. Like, that's my job, right? I'm not the creative guy. I'm like, guys, we need to make like $5 million a year so we can meet payroll. Like, how are we gonna do it? Like, that's a really bad idea, Tom. That's my job, right? Like, if there's ever a company, that's me. Okay, so I'm that guy. But I digress. I'm not the creative guy. On very few things I'm creative, and the things that I'm creative on, I love them to death, and then they probably cost me a lot of money. But so anybody wants to talk about sports and cards, just let me know. That's like my favorite topic to talk about.
Well, I can do both those too.
I'm like a super card nerd collector. But anyway, again, I like watching baseball, and football, and UFC, and the WNBA. It's all right. You can all make fun of me. It's all right, everybody. But I digress right there. But I find it so interesting, right? Because once you build out this world, I mean, what is that like? Because I don't know how you do it. I guess is where I'm going with this.
It's kind of weird. So how it developed was, obviously, Sahael came about when I was about 16, 17 years old. I had friends over at my house, and we used to watch. Our house was United Nations. We had every nationality there. So, one day we were watching X-Men. We went, and from X-Men we went to, we went from X-Men to Marvel to DC, and we saw all of them. So as all this was happening, I said to myself, it dawned on me that none of these characters look like me. Not a single one. And I'm like, well, this is odd. And it didn't sit right with me. And I remember talking to my mom about it, and she's like, well, maybe you have to create your own. So from that day forward, I'm like, I'm going to create my own world. And I remember during recess, if I wasn't playing football or doing anything, or I finished my test early in school just so I could start writing. I just wrote just to write. Even when I left the country for 2 years after I got older, I wrote. And I took it with me everywhere. And then I would see things. I'm going to apply that to my world. I'm going to apply that to my world. There's other, all this other stuff that just came to fruition. And so that's what I did. So, 5,000 plus characters in this world, I'll take it.
So let's actually talk about this.
A passion.
So let's actually talk about this, because you bring up an interesting point. I think it's interesting too, is that you don't see anything that's representing you in superheroes. And I find it interesting
Nothing.
though, because what were we saying?
Nothing.
So,
I was agreeing with you.
I didn't know if you were challenging. My bad.
Oh, no,
But I find it interesting that you then go and then you do a book, because this isn't a superhero book. I think it's I don't know what we classify this, but that's interesting because you were writing a book that obviously represents you, represents your culture, but it's not a superhero book. And that's what's interesting in many ways also, is that you kind of said, I don't want to be in this superhero genre, yet you don't see anything in the superhero genre. And so, like, how did even that come out? Or was it just that you said, cool, I just want to write my own world and I don't want to be DC. I don't want to be confined to their world of what they're doing.
So that was the whole point, because when people, I think it's funny. So as I was doing this, there's a quote that resonates strongly with me, and it was weird because as I started doing this, people were telling me you can't do that. I'm like, well, why can't I do that? As even teachers, I want to write this. I ended up taking writing classes or English technical writing classes. They're like, well, that's impossible for you to do, and I'm like, well, why is that impossible? And so it, it got to the point to where I'm like, why are you placing restrictions on me? And someone said that's just a little too bold. And I'm like, he goes, you have to have confinements around what you decide you want to do. And so I took that as, well, I'm going to create a world with no confinements. I did the opposite of what everyone told me to do. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go against the grain. And not only am I going to go against the grain, I'm going to do it passionately. I'm going to get so good at it that I don't even think twice about doing it.
See, that's interesting. So I'm a contrarian investor. I by definition, every single one of my greatest trades have been contrary. And then people said, "Oh, you're going to lose all your money on them," and I've made banks on it. I've made a good example is L Brands. L Brands, for those who don't know,
Okay.
Bath and Body Works and Victoria's Secret split into two. I had a 738% rate of return on that. Everybody said, "Oh, the whole transition they had was going to be a problem." And I'm like, guys, it's $9 a share. You're all missing the boat. You're all missing the boat here. They legitimately make women feel sexy. Like, how can you lose with a company like that? Like, anytime
It's a win-win.
anytime a company makes my girlfriend feel sexy, it only benefits me. Because if she feels good, chances are I'm gonna be luckier that night.
You're going to benefit.
I'm the first person to say it. I mean, I'm just gonna say what we're all thinking here. It's not a bad thing. I mean, she knows it too. It's not. This isn't like a secret. I mean, it's a. And if you think it is, I hate to break it to you. I just de-secretified you. Yes,
Yeah.
I am trademarking that right here. But that's what I think is interesting, is that, like, I'm a contrary person and I'm a contrary investor because I think it's important, and I think I wouldn't say it's gatekeeping, but it's a lack of vision, right? In many ways.
So you're right, and that's just it. When people can't see your vision, they don't care. But here's one thing I do know: when people see your vision, and I've witnessed this firsthand, they will bend over backwards, because when they believe in it and they're involved in it, it takes care of itself.
I don't know, man. I've had it both ways. I've had it both ways with me, where people have been challenging, and then they come around and like, I get it now. So they didn't see it initially, right? They needed the proof, right? So
Huh?
they weren't willing to take the leap of faith without proof.
Which just means you can't roll with me. If you're not willing to take the leap of faith, you don't get to come back after the leap of faith's been taken.
So I'm a little bit different on that point. So if I go out there and I prove and I say, cool, I just made this trade without brands, and it says, oh, dude, I doubted you, and then they come around back, yo, what's your next one, man? Hey, what are you looking at? What are you thinking? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's talk, because I'm not one to exclude somebody out, but that doesn't mean that you're not taking a leap of faith on the next one too. because everything in
Fair.
my world is a new trade, right? So it's a little bit different when we go in that direction, when you're taking a leap of faith, because so now I tell you stock X, right? Great, you're taking a leap of faith with me on a new outing, right? So I don't take it personal in that regard.
I don't either. But there's no need to have faith when you already believe in yourself.
I mean, I just want to help people get rich. This has nothing to do with me. I mean, because
Exactly. As we talked.
I have a different philosophy, right? It will be a shame if I die with knowledge still left in my brain. It's not altruistic. It's not. It will be a shame if I die with knowledge still left in my brain. And I have certain knowledge in certain sectors that is invaluable. And so I'm going to be fine whether I share that knowledge or not. Me sharing it or not sharing it doesn't change anything in my world.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I want to share for free? I want to share my knowledge for free. I don't need, because that's not where I make my money. I don't make my money off of my knowledge. I make my money off of applying my knowledge. But that's different than creating.
I've been blessed, but I've been blessed with not only the creation side, I've been blessed with the knowledge side. You know, it helps to have a photographic memory. I'm not going to lie.
I don't have a photographic memory. I'm not. That's great. That's great. That's again. I can see things, and I know how things are going to end before they begin. I knew that if you've been on Facebook lately, you knew that the ants were not going to win.
Exactly. 1,400 to 1-0. You're right. I agree. But no, but it's like you said, to be that contrarian, like the people who have done stuff, you know, they're the ones who had to have a little delusion and audacity to seriously, you have to have both of those to accomplish anything seriously in this life. Delusion and audacity. You have to be somewhat delusional.
Yeah, I'm going to challenge slightly. You could be a moron and have a fourth grade education and be worth millions of dollars in America.
This is true too.
but that's a different, because that's systematic. Meaning that you, if you legitimately if you put X amount of money into the S&P 500 for 30 years, systematically you're going to be worth millions of dollars. It has nothing to do with intelligence. It has to do with the fact saying, I understand that I cannot outperform arguably the greatest asset on the planet. I'm smart enough to follow the system. And you accomplish something by having money. And hopefully having children you can pass it down onto and building generational wealth. But that's the only circumstance where you could be an absolute moron and follow the system and accomplish something. That is the only one. There's one, and that's it.
I agree, which is why, again, I can't explain it, but I believe once you understand the patterns within the system and you understand and take advantage of said patterns, you can use those patterns to your benefit.
Once you understand the rules, you can bend the rules and you know how to play the game. You cannot win in baseball if you don't know the rules of baseball.
Correct.
And that's it. So I just use baseball because baseball has the most rules that most people have no idea. So perfect example. You can get on first by striking out. Did you know that?
I do now.
Would you like to hear how that happens?
I'd love to hear how that happens.
Great. Pitcher throws a strike. Batter swings. Ball passes through the catcher.
Oh yeah, he can run to first.
So think of. I mean, again, seems like a crazy rule, right? But any rule that is that. But I digress. Because I do agree with you. I agree with you in that regard. But I actually do want to talk about Kickstarter as a whole.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I think it's interesting, right? And I have gripes with Kickstarter. I don't know how many projects you've backed. I've been screwed on 3 out of about 150 that I backed, which I think is pretty good. I think it's pretty good. I'm not thrilled with it. I wish it was 0. But I also think that Kickstarter is in a weird place right now. For a lot of reasons. We have a rough economy. There's a lot of projects. I think that half the projects suck on Kickstarter, and that's me being optimistic. That's me being optimistic. In many ways, I think that's me being optimistic here, where I just think that, sometimes some of this stuff is not great on Kickstarter, which is fine. It's not a big deal, right? In that regard. But I also think that we have also now gone into late pledges, which I think also complicates things because it turns Kickstarter from being a crowdfunding event to being a pop-up store. And I'm curious how you feel about all this, because I don't think it's good. I threw a lot at you.
I don't have one complaint or another. No, it's fine. I've been I've funded 3 successfully on Kickstarter. So I think for me, I have no complaints. However, with that said, the late pledges, I don't have a complaint because I remember we got to our goal, and then we had like almost $1,500 in late pledges, and I'm like, oh, I'll take that. So like, what I mean? I don't mind, but I get where you're coming from. I look at it as a benefit to the person who is trying to hit their number. I see the pros and the cons.
My view on it might be a little bit different as that. It's the same thing that eBay is doing right now, where they want to extend auctions. And I feel like you're like playing with, like, it should be that, because the way I view it is that it should be that you should back my campaign and it's an event. If I know that I could get it at any point, what's the urgency?
Well,
and
you're right.
That's my issue with it, is that I don't think it's good. I think it takes away urgency and it takes away desire. Like eBay, if I know, I was bidding on a card just now, and it's an awesome card. It's Dallas Strawberry done by Snoop Dogg. Don't ask, guys. Don't ask why. Okay. Just understand that it's an awesome card. It's Dallas Strawberry done by Snoop Dogg. Project 70. Awesome concept, right? But there's an urgency because I haven't seen one in a while go up on eBay, and I know that in the last 2 minutes I better pay the fuck attention if I want the card.
Yeah.
If I know they're going to extend the auction every 2 minutes, somebody bids, there's no fucking urgency for me to be paying attention and saying, how do I play the game of sniping?
This is true.
That's how I feel with Kickstarter. I'm not saying I'm sniping, and I'm going to be like, 10 seconds left, I got to get the reward. It's not an auction. But if you have 30 days, it's like in that time period, if I want the rare shit. But if I know there's late pledges, I don't think it's good.
But we have a way around that. Well, and we have a way around that, and we've created a way around that. So with that is within our Kickstarter, there's things in there you're going to get, even that are going to be signed late. So for example, anything late, you could still get these things, but within this given time frame, those are exclusive. Those things will be signed and autographed. But anything late, they won't be. Thank you. We'll send them to you, but it won't be signed. It'll be those that got it in a given time frame, or those that will benefit from it. So we've got ways around it.
Do you think that because I was speaking with John Westhoff, I don't think it's in me bringing up his name, but like he also said, like, some people are figuring out it was stretch goals. Some people are figuring out limiting, saying, well, I'm going to print 250 copies and I'll just put up the 250 copies, whatever sells, and that's it. But if I have a limited 10, I'm not going to put that on the late pledge, because I think you can modify it, right? So yes, I've heard that too, where it's like, great, because let's say that you said, I'm going to sign 100 of a particular copy of the book, right? And you have 50 left. You could put that on a late pledge technically, but once those 50 are gone, they're gone, right?
Correct. Yes, so, and that's what we've done.
But like that. But I've also heard people say, look, you pledge late, you don't get stretch goals. I've heard people say it's 30 days. But like that's where I just to me, it kind of ruins the fun a little bit. I'm backing your campaign, and I want to feel like I'm in a club. And if I know that you could still get a lot of the cool shit, it's not as exclusive.
People won't. With us, they won't. I'll tell you that right now.
I've seen it 20 different ways now, and I'm kind of looking at it. I'm like,
Correct.
hey, it rubs me the wrong way as me supporting you, not you personally.
As it should. And that's why we set it up this way. Like, we'll take those late pledges. Why would we not? However, you're not going to get those who pledge prior to being late. They're going to benefit, but you'll still benefit. You just won't get the exclusive rewards like the others.
Do you also? I mean, I'm going to ask a question. I mean, when do you open up your late pledges, or is it just automatic? And so, because how do you ship out too? Because I've seen that too, where if you pledge late 2 weeks after their campaign, you get to the back of the shipping list, and it's
you'll get it a month or two later. Compared to those who they'll get it a month or two sooner.
Because that's how I run my eBay business. Is that if I have 10 items, it's person A goes out first. Now it just so happens that sometimes all 10 items go out at the same time, because it's just shipping day.
Yeah.
But sometimes that doesn't happen. So 5 people bought it 2 weeks ago, and then the other 5 buy it 2 weeks later. The first 5 people are going to get it first. It's just because when it's in stock, I just get it out. It's nothing personal. But I asked this question because I found it interesting. And then to even go further into this is that you run for 60 days versus 30. And I don't know if late have a position for that too.
Actually caught me off guard. It was supposed to be 30, and I'm like, dang it, don't like that, because I thought it was. So I thought about. Part of me thought about canceling it, just redoing it, but I'm like, we'll just keep it there. Moving forward, it'll just be 30. You know what I mean? But it showed 60, but that was my mistake. It was supposed to be 30, not 60.
So let's actually talk about that too, because I think 45 days is a perfect time frame. Personally, I think 45 is awesome, right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I think that. I think
I wanted 21 days, but keep going.
21. I mean, look, I've seen people. Tom Hutchinson did like a 5-day campaign. What did you say?
He slayed it. I've seen a 10 campaign, 5, 21, and they all killed it.
Who did it?
I saw. This was a couple of years ago. I saw a 7-day campaign, a 10-day campaign, and they all did well.
So I think Tom on his 5-day campaign did like 6,000.
Isn't that wasn't it his goal like 4,500?
Oh no! I think his goal was pretty low on that one.
Okay.
But then it gets interesting, right? So like Tom has done like 2-week campaigns. He's done like 21 days. He's done like traditional like 28 or 30 days. But like I think, especially with late pledges at this point, I think if you do a 30-day, a 45-day, a 60-day, I don't think it matters if you're going to do late pledges anyway, because why does it matter if you're going to do it if you know you're going to fund? See, that's the only concern, right? Is that in order to get to the late pledges, you got to fund, I think, right?
Yeah, you have to fund first. And we funded both times.
So like that's my whole thing, is that like it might make sense now with late pledges, and I'm curious how you feel, is that I really need 3,500, but I'll put my goal at 2,500 because I know I'm going to get late pledges. So like
that's what I did. We wanted 6, but let's just do 33. Let's just do 3.
So I want to talk about that too, because I don't know. See, that's also interesting. Also now is that I don't know, because it's all a game, right? Isn't it all a game on figuring out what you can get for what, right? Because in today's economy, I don't know if 6,000 is the right number. I don't know, because I've heard like 15 different positions, right? I've heard saying, look, you need to ask what you need to ask for. So if you need 6,000 to do your book, you need to ask for 6,000. And if you don't fund, then that's okay.
Book's already done. We're just going for inventory.
Right. But let's say that you need 6,000 for inventory, right? Or to print it or whatever it is, right? Because I've heard the argument saying, look, it's better that you don't fund, but you also aren't out money, or that you're not having to pay for printing out of or make up the difference out of pocket. So you're not taking a double
Correct.
hit versus, or so you say, look, it's better that you get 4,500 or $5,000 and you pay 1,000 out and you figure out the 1,000 on the back end, because now you have at least 5,000, or you hope that you pull in 7 because you put it at a lower rate. Or, because I've heard like all this stuff and it's so complicated. And this is why it blows my mind, is my point. And I don't want
It's
to do
an
this.
inexact science.
It would kill me. This is just too risky for me. It's too complicated to nail it pinpoint.
I just, yeah, I think I just learned for me. I was like, you know what? I went for it, and I haven't looked back. I haven't looked back since.
So, fair enough. I mean, I guess what it is that you have to go. I mean,
Yeah,
is this the idea that you have to go and you just have to do it, and then you figure out the economics of this on the back end, right?
this is true.
So, I mean,
This is true.
I figure out inventory on my eBay business on the back end, right? It's essentially a gigantic debt credit line, because there's no other way how to do it. There's just no other way how to do it when you're buying merchandise and you hope you're right, right? I mean, isn't that what it comes down to?
Yep,
But
it does.
and then I
I've
want to
got
go even
everyone
further.
saying, "Send me links." Send them links. Say what?
What would you say?
I said, everyone's saying, "Send me the link. Send me the link." So I'm like, hold on.
I mean, the link is in the description, everybody. I mean, all you have to do is just click the link in the description. I'm a professional.
Well, that's I said, just go to the website. I just go to the YouTube. Go to his Instagram. Here it is.
No, it's just it's I say back the Kickstarter right in the description, everybody. It's right there. If you're watching it, I made it easy for everybody. All you have to do is click the link. You'll get right to the Kickstarter.
Exactly. We're in good shape.
I'm a professional. I'm a professional here.
As you are.
I work really, really hard here. This is exhausting. You think that these links just build themselves, everybody? Of course not.
Exactly.
but and then I do want to touch upon some other stuff, because I mean,
Yeah.
my biggest pet peeve on Kickstarter is Kickstarter marketing firms. I hate them. I hate them.
Oh my gosh, I get all these emails. I'm like, dude, just leave me. I'm not interested. Leave me alone.
This is why I hate them, right? I have a very different opinion. I look at a bunch of them, and the same people who are hiring them hit me up for interviews. And I'm like, isn't that the job of the person you hired? Feel free to tell me I'm wrong. I'm more than happy to admit that I'm wrong. But I'm like, and then I look at what people are charging, and I'm like, you paid person $2,000 and they can't get you an interview. Somebody explain to me what I'm missing here.
It's a cash grab.
I don't know. And then I look at the result of the campaign, and I'm like, I don't know how you make money. Like, what the fuck is up here? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. Now, if somebody brings you $20,000, that's a different discussion. But I mean, we look at, what is it, dark pink? I mean, that's a really good example. I mean, how familiar are you with what's going on with that?
I'm not. I've
Dark
heard,
pink?
but not really following.
I'll ask you an interesting question. In order to do a $50,000 campaign, how do you think it gets done in comics?
I think it gets done by having a following and building up to have a following, emails and stuff like that.
Do you think that's the only way to do it?
No.
What's the other way out to do it?
There's multiple ways to do it. Probably get someone to come in and just pay a large lump sum.
There's a company called Launch Boom. Are you familiar with Launch Boom?
I've heard of it, but no.
Launch Boom basically builds your campaign and then runs ads. So they take a percentage of your campaign. They somehow mastered Facebook ads and marketing campaigns and Kickstarter. And this is what's going on with Dark Pink. Essentially, it's at almost 70,000. First person's comic, looks like an average book, to be honest. It doesn't look like a bad book. Just looks like pretty solid, average, maybe above average book. But Launch Boom runs ads on Instagram, Facebook, wherever else they could run ads, and they charge you for the ads. So if you push out enough content to people on Instagram, Facebook, you're going to get people to look at your Kickstarter, and statistically, you're going to get people to back. Because if you get 1,000 people to look at your campaign, then you're going to get 100 people to back it. And then all of a sudden you keep going and going and going. But what happens when, and sure, I'm sure their ad cost isn't horrible because they have this down to a science, but you might have just spent $8,000 on ads. Sure, you have a 70,000 campaign, but you still got to produce the book. You got to ship out 70,000 units, whatever that looks like. They're taking 10%. Kickstarter's taking 10%. I mean, what are we looking at? 30K plus you still got to produce the book, print the book, and you walk away with about $4,000 in profit.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, it would help from the standpoint of getting the name out there.
But the question becomes, though, is that when you do number 2, are you going to get the same result without them because your name's out there, or do you now need to be in the system that they're pushing out, right? And this
you
is my
need to be in
problem.
the system at that point. It's a necessary evil at that point.
But you just made, on number 2, maybe you'll make $6,000. So on 2 books that generated $160,000, you made $10,000. That's horrific.
On Kickstarter, it is, yes.
That's horrific. I'll say it. Nobody's gonna like it. That makes abortion look good. I'll say it. I have no problem stating that because that's horrific. That means that you did great. You made $160,000 on Kickstarter, but your profit margin is dog shit.
Yeah, your profit margin might be like $30,000.
No, it's not even that. It's more like 10. Because after you pay for your art, after you pay for all the covers, after you pay for all the shipping, all that stuff, they're cut, Kickstarter's cut, taxes. Because once you cross a certain number, you have to pay serious taxes on that. There are real tax implications because it's treated as a one-to-one income. That's why this is a problem when you're using those services. And if you think the big names aren't doing this too, and then they're not, Scott Snyder is not fulfilling his own books.
No.
So he's paying somebody for that or a
fulfillment company.
So this is where this gets really, really complicated with this. And this is why I think it's really complicated Kickstarter right now, because to go and do a $30,000 campaign without any backbone and being a small-time person and not having staff, it's crazy. And then, we look at Pat Chan. And I love Pat. He does really big campaigns, but he has a company and he has staff. He has to make payroll. His stuff isn't free.
No.
So even if he's not paying for that stuff, he has payroll. He has people he's paying. This is where I think this gets really complicated. That's why I hate these fulfillment services, because I think they do a disservice. I think they present the gold bar, but they don't show how you get the gold bar.
This is true.
It irks me because I think it's a dangerous element in comics right now. But I don't think anybody wants to talk about it.
They don't. We've been successful going about it. The old school way. However, anything's possible.
Let me ask this, right? So you're doing what would you do? Did you do like 6,700 on the last one?
Almost 7,000, yeah.
So, but is the goal for you to be on Kickstarter and you're doing 7K, but the real goal is to develop the IP, have books printed, get the books out there, start at least getting something going, get some distribution or getting some inventory, and then figuring out from there and then some
Correct.
on your website, figuring out other things, figuring
Yes.
out how to. So like that's the thing is that I don't know if Dark Pink wants to be outside of Kickstarter. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's where this becomes complicated. Is the goal that you just need to get inventory and then you want to hustle it at Comic Cons? Because I think that's where the
Yeah.
money's at.
That's exactly what we did. We sold out at Salt Lake Fan X last year. You know what I mean? So we used the money from the last one had inventory, boom, and for us it's a means to an end. We know we're going to outgrow Kickstarter. We know that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like I said, we've had investors reach out. You know what I mean? So we know, and not just one. We know what we have is solid. It's just a matter of once it gets, once it's hits a certain stream, it's taking off like some of the other ones that have come through Kickstarter and have done well.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, the reason why I bring this up is that I don't think people have an understanding of a means to the end and
Yes.
where you want to be. Because there's people who say, look, I just want to make a comic and I want to sell a bunch of books and I want to sell a bunch of variants and make my money having 20 variants all at different prices and they're all going to sell out and I'm going to make a lot of money doing that and it's going to cover the comic cost and giving me a living. Other people want to go down a point saying, I want to build this and then I want to license it into a television show or I want to do something else with it or I want to make a board game or I want to make a movie or whatever it is, right? Somebody else says, look, I've always wanted to make a comic and I want to do 4 issues and I wanted to get that itch out, right? So and there's nothing wrong with any of that. But also somebody says, look, I want to write a 6-issue series and then I'm done. But I just want to fund it on Kickstarter and I'm not looking to make money on it. If I lose $3,000 on it over the next 3 years, that's fine because I just wanted to publish something out in the world.
Correct.
And there's nothing wrong with any of that because you're just subsidizing costs. But again,
yes.
I think people need to really understand what they're doing.
I agree.
When you're creating IP, the value isn't in the comic. No offense. Your graphic novel is not where the value's at.
No, it's the IP.
The novel isn't where it's at. It's the IP and what the IP is worth. What somebody's willing to buy the IP, what the IP could sell for, the licensing of the IP, or even it could be that you could say, I don't want to touch anything. I just know the IP is worth $6 million, or it's worth $10 million, or it's worth $30 million. But I don't want to do anything with it right now. Or it could be worth nothing. But that's where it's at. But again, I just nobody wants to address the elephants in the room.
True.
Because and that's what I think. But again, I understand exactly. My objective is that I buy cards and I sell them. And I know exactly what they're worth. And my objective is to make money. And make money in volume.
And you understand that market very well.
I do all right with it. And I also understand that I have vision. I'm come September, October. Everybody better be fans of Paige Buchers. I'm just waiting for her to put a ring on her girlfriend. I'm just waiting. It's gonna be really awkward when they play each other in the WNBA. It's gonna be really awkward.
I'm looking. Ooh, yeah.
I have a Paige Buchers auto.
I'll tune in for that.
I have a Paige Buchers auto. That was pulled out of a pack.
By her?
Yeah.
No, the card itself?
Yeah, on the card. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a redemption. It's pretty sick. It's a Yukon card, which is cool too.
She can play though. I'll give her that.
Oh, she's great. I mean, the WNBA is something. I love the WNBA. It just when Caitlin Clark doesn't play, viewership goes down by 50%, which is crazy. Right? It's crazy. I almost bought an expensive WNBA card too last night, but we don't have to talk about it. I'm glad.
Didn't get it?
You know what it is? I had a budget, and it exceeded my budget. It's a $900 card.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was a downtown Angel Reese. They just came out.
Well, you
Like,
Barbie.
So, well, welcome to Big Boy Card Collecting, guys. It's a YouTube show I run. I break expensive cards. I have a problem. I have a very big problem. I have expensive cards and I have expensive taste. But anyway, I digress. I am, but I do want to talk about where you think comics are going, because we're in a weird time. But I think we're in the best time and the worst time at the same time.
I think we're in the best time because you see a lot of these indie comics now are moving to the forefront because you see a lot of this. We're in the comic. I was in a superhero era for movies and stuff like that, and so you see a lot of these same stories are being told just from a different paradigm or just from a different angle, and so they're just the same old regurgitated story. You're like almost where you can sit back and watch. Okay, I know what's going to happen. Yeah, you've got this actor in there, and this actor is really good and stuff like that. But what I mean, so you've got a lot of indie stuff out there that's coming to the forefront, and it's kind of funny because as I've spoken with investors, some have asked, we want to buy this from you so we can give it to Marvel. You know what I mean? I've had people say that. But you've got some of these indie that are doing well. I know several of them that are going into, they're going to have their own TV shows now that started on Kickstarter. I can name 3 or 4 of them. They're going to be on. I'm like, and so we know when we first came into this arena, after seeing what we have and seeing some of these other ones, we're like, oh, we're on pace. So these indie, I think you're going to start seeing more of these indie authors, I think, come to the forefront. But I think you're going to see a lot of people try to purchase their IP as well, so that they can have control over it.
Yeah,
so I think that's where it's going.
It's interesting, right? I mean, look, I'm a big media investor, right? I love companies like Amazon. I love companies like Comcast. I love companies like Disney, Disney, Comcast, Netflix. I think those 3 companies are going to be really big IP purchasers, and they're only going to get bigger. They're only going to get bigger, and that's where it's at. And I think that's the future of media on an investor level, right? On a corporate investor level, that's the future, because those are the 3 companies that have a lot of money to buy stuff. Lionsgate has money too because they produce a lot of movies and they sell a lot of movies. Paramount is another one with the fusion of Skydance. It is big, but like that's where this is all going. It's all going into corporate land. But I also know, and I don't know how you feel about this, is that there is an option wars going on. So once you go into Hollywood, the people will option something and they will renew the option not to produce a movie, but just to have the option so that another studio won't do it. It's fucked up. It's like it's
and I won't get caught up in that.
It's worse than patent wars. It's worse than patent wars. Patent wars are the most fascinating thing on the planet, where companies will buy patents to use them against other companies if infringement happens. They say, cool, Microsoft sues Amazon. Amazon says, that's fine. We'll take your lawsuit. By the way, we have this patent. You're infringing on us. Why don't we figure out how to work together? Say, we got a missile. You got a missile. Do we kill each other?
That's true.
Or do we figure it out? And that's oh man, media is so fascinating. I love every single part of this. But again, I get that again, I don't know many things that are coming. I know that a bunch of stuff has been optioned, licensed, and is in purgatory option hell.
Oh yeah, big time.
James Tyrion's thing or Tyrion's thing on Netflix, like something killing the strangers or killing strangers or something's killing the strangers that he writes.
I haven't seen. It's probably on my list to watch.
It's not. It's been in Netflix like purgatory for like the last like 3 years, meaning it's optioned. It was greenlit, but it's not getting produced and done.
Which one is this? Because there's a couple.
Something is killing the strangers.
Okay, I'm thinking strangers. Okay.
James Tyron, the like fourth or fifth. Great writer, great writer. Love his work, right? Great comic. Great comic. Read the first 6. Fascinating concept. The problem is that like they're changing directors. It's a nightmare because it's been greenlit.
Kind of like the Witcher.
Yeah, kind of like that. it was just it's whatever. But I have my own opinions on this. But I was just curious where you think it's going because again,
I mean, the smart play is I think you're going to start seeing, like you mentioned, those main 4 or 5. They're going to start reaching out on the indie level and just being like, hey, come, we want to pay you to do this here. But a lot of these indie authors, they're not selling.
See, it's tough, right? It's tough to let go of your baby.
Because I know for myself, I was like, why would I sell? I'm sitting on $1 billion. I'm good.
But the issue is that do they want to buy it or do they want to option it or license it? Because those are 3 different things.
I would say I would say either buy it or license it. Definitely not option it.
I mean, I thought you have to option things technically.
I'm not. I can say this with where I'm set up. I don't have to.
I mean, let me put it this way, right? If you want to get something made on Netflix or get your or anything on Netflix, I mean, it's going to have to be licensed essentially to them, right? I mean, they're either going to buy it, they're going to option the right to do it, which is
no, they can license it. However, it'll be obviously, as you know, and I think it's funny how people. It's like when I've said this, people are like, "That's not going to happen." I'm like, well. If Ryan Coogler can do it, so can I. You know what I mean? But like, if someone's saying if you're gonna license it, it's gonna be licensed and it's gonna be done according to what Sahael wants, not what you want.
I mean, this is all negotiated. This is all figured out, right? I mean, that you're setting your terms in this arrangement, and they could decline, right? And they could say, well, we want to take your thing, and well, we want to go, and we like what you did in Volume 7, and we don't want to touch Volume 1 because we think Volume 7 is a much better story, right? And that's what we want. So I mean, but again, you could set your terms, and you could agree or not agree to that. But Netflix could say, "Hey, this is where we're going with this, right? And it's what we want to do with it," and then it's up to you to agree or disagree, and either accept or not accept.
100%, I agree with that. It's kind of weird how you say that because. One thing I like to do is I like to study, letting in on some insight. I like to study some of what their successful shows. And one thing I've learned about some of their successful shows is what they'll do. I've written to fit that narrative. So knowing, to ensure that would make us more desirable. So they wouldn't have to skip to make sure, okay, this works. Or come back to it later at some other point.
Fair enough. Again. I understand what Netflix does. I also understand that Netflix is a very complicated entity because they have had stuff that's been great, and they've had stuff that's been horrible, and they've had stuff that I think that they should have given more of a chance to.
This is true. They've got some stuff that had potential, and I'm like, ooh. But they didn't.
Sense8. They pulled the plug on that thing way too quick. Sense8 was great. We could have had another 2 seasons. So much could have come out of that. The Wachowskis and what was it? J. Michael Straczynski, who did what? Babylon 5. Oh, I mean,
that was
the A-Team, guys, and you blew it.
They could have got 3 or 4 more seasons out of The Kingdom.
I didn't see The Kingdom. Is it good?
It's 8 seasons. They could have got 3. They could have easily got 2 or 3 more.
I didn't see it. Is it on Netflix?
It is. I'd recommend it.
I'll put it on my list. I mean, what is it, like 100 episodes, give or take?
It's about 80. 80, 85.
I'll put it on my list. I'll put it on my list. In between
You'll like
killing
it.
ants, I'll put it on my list.
No, it's not bad. And I look, and the reason why, yeah. So I'm not going to share that insight, but why you know what I mean. But yeah, that's a good one.
No. I'll look into it because again, I'm looking for something new anyway. Between watching some anime and some other stuff, I like to mix up watching anime with like actual shows with people in them.
Yeah, that's and that's what I would definitely recommend.
But again, my point is that like I thought that '90s show should have gotten another season. I really did. I thought they were finally hitting their stride. And I'm not saying it was perfect, and I'm not saying it was better than that '70s show, but I thought it was pretty decent, and I think that they pulled the plug on it a little too soon. I think they should have gotten another season out of it, and I think it was a mistake to pull it out. For fuck's sake, they spent like $90 million in Jupiter's Legacy, and that thing was an abortion on steroids. Oh my God. Oh.
I mean, it was
just.
It was good. I mean, visually.
Visually it was awesome.
Yeah.
Visually, great. But what the fuck? Like that show is just bad. Yeah. They spent so much money in Jupiter's Legacy, and
I liked it primarily because of the visualness and what it looked like. That's what got me. And so it's weird how you say that because that's like when I did Sahael, I'm like, not only do I want it to be visually stunning, I want the story to be just as compelling. So when you've got two, it's a win-win.
Yeah. It was Just Jupiter's Legacy killed my soul. And then they canceled Sense8. Oh my God. Just you had the thing. It was great. Now I'm a straight white male and I love Sense8. So that should tell you everything. And you probably loved it as a straight black man. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. I'll say the thing that we can't say. Like you probably loved it just as much as I did. It had nothing to do with EQ at all. It was a great concept from start to finish, and it was brilliant. And they freaking ruined it by canceling it. But I digress. So I digress. But obviously I want to show one of the covers so that we could all talk about it. So
that's the newest one.
I'm really lazy because I was just not gonna do all the covers. I was too tired to do today. Lots happened in my life in the last month.
As we spoke.
Horrendous. Nothing horrendous. I mean, I just don't want to talk about it.
No, it's why we talk in private.
I had my niece who's 3 and my other niece who's 8 months in my house for the last 2 weeks, and I'm not used to an 8-month-old learning how to crawl and wanting to go over to my dog and eat my dog's dog food, and my 3-year-old who is on her tremendous three throne-esque run. To say it nicely, like both my nieces, but I'm not used to that age around me in my house. It's the nicest way I could say it. And I am, and anybody who has children or nieces or nephews that age, you will understand and you know exactly what I'm talking about. I am exhausted. And I'm playing war with ants on top of it. It's been a struggle. I do want to talk about the cover. So what's the deal with the cover?
So, Bowie, who you see here, he is our chief illustrator, and you know the meaning behind it. And I actually have the description of why we went with this. And so what it does is, I'm going to read it so we have it. I can share this. So he just basically said what this is. And so there comes a point in the book, if you read in the book, you're going to see some things, and I don't want to give away, but again, we talk about the signs of the times. There's 5 signs, and then the 4 girls represent each of the signs. Okay, and so clearly her sign is associated with water, you know, and so what happens is when she gets in that water, I think there's an awakening taking place, this awakening, and so it's the awakening of her igniting her bloodline. Again, I tell you, they were scattered over, so she has the ability to awaken and ignite her bloodline, and you're seeing that take place here. You see the ship in the background as it falls down. If you see the ship in the background of the image, so when you see that, you start to see things that are happening. You know, she's understanding what she is, but but without a full understanding of who she is. And so you're going to start seeing that. That's what that's going to be. Say what?
I was making a joke. So she's going through puberty with her powers.
Fair. Well, she's already done that.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You like gave it to me a mile out. You gave it to me a mile out. And I'm not trying to trivialize like your artist, and I'm not trying to do that, but that was just too easy. That was like giving me like a candy.
It was.
I'm so sorry. No, it was so mean.
No, you're fine. I get it. No, but it's basically one of those where I've got it here. So I brought it up, and I like sharing this because what it does is it's basically I love his description of it, and his description of it was more or less. Here we go. Was more or less just saying, he said, so if you look at it, so basically it's her coming into her own, and as she comes into her own, destruction has to occur for her to understand what it is she is and what she represents as she awakens into something to be the avatar of her bloodline.
That's interesting.
So it's called an awakening, so like when there's, it's almost like when you have an awakening, you have an epiphany of what's happening, and you, the reader, as you see this, because because you will get engrossed, and as you awaken, it's like you're experiencing that same awakening as well. You're feeling it just like she is.
See, that's interesting when we start actually analyzing and breaking down covers.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Again. I'm gonna pull up a cover because it's interesting that you bring this up. So I'm pulling something up right now for a reason. But I appreciate when artists tell people, hey, this is what I'm trying to convey with the cover, right?
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about that. I think it's important sometimes for readers and people to say, cool, this is what the cover is supposed to be. And I think it's fascinating. I think it's a good thing. In many ways. Not always. I'll be the first to say that sometimes it's not a good thing. And sometimes it's good to let people interpret things. But for the most part, I think it's a good thing sometimes to say, hey, this is what we're trying to achieve here with this. And I think that's interesting, to say the least. But I want your take on something with this, on what you think this is, because won't allow this cover.
That's quite the cover.
Right. Great. What's your interpretation on it? What's your interpretation?
My interpretation is I wouldn't mess with her.
So Warren Lau actually explained the cover. It's really interesting. It's going to change your whole opinion on it. He said, this is a cover of somebody who has just been through something, and we all heal differently. Sometimes we go to a place where we feel comfortable. Sometimes we have anger, and sometimes we need something to relax us and calm down. If you notice, she's naked in a bathtub, which is relatively a safe space. She's holding a glass of wine, and she's holding a machine gun and bullets. There's bullet holes in the background and there's bullets in the tub. Meaning we all heal differently and we all process loss differently. It's a brilliant cover because once you realize what he's explaining, it changes your whole perspective. It's a very dangerous thing, though, for an artist to say, this is what this cover is supposed to mean. Because now you have an interpretation of it. I have an interpretation of it. And now when he tells us, that changes the whole dynamic of the cover.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's why I think it's so interesting that your artist wrote a description. And I don't know if that, I mean, I went through obviously the campaign. Was that description on the campaign or is it not? Because that
on
also
the campaign.
But see why this is not really interesting is because when an artist tells somebody, hey, this is what this cover is supposed to be, you know, I could have my own interpretation still, but it's harder to challenge that interpretation. Now,
yeah. And I have the word for word one if you want to hear it.
You have the what?
His word for word, what he says about it.
Sure.
He says, my vision was that Odira, that's who that is, Odira, having mere glimpses of her potential, was truly born again when she hit the water. That's where her confidence was incubated and ultimately pushed to the forefront. The ocean is the womb where she coalesces the burgeoning power that lies within herself. Her positioning is fetal on purpose. She's about to be born in her truest expression and power. The barely visible sunken ship behind her in the depths represents the past glory she hailed from, that it's in ruins. But unlike it, she and Sahael will rise again.
See, it's hard now to challenge that and have a different interpretation. But in certain realms, it's good. So that I just find it interesting, right?
Yeah.
But I digress. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff with this. You got a lot of stuff going on with your family. A lot of stuff going on with your company. But obviously, where can people find it? Where can people back it? Where can people find you? Because I think this is the only thing that you're doing right now as far as comics and creation and things. I don't think you have another book.
We have books too. The first
I meant this
10
world,
books
right?
are on Amazon.
Okay, let me
the
rephrase
first 2 graphic novels.
Well, what I was asking, where I was going with this, is that you're not writing a different series. This is the one, right at the current time.
This is the one. Yeah, I mean, once this is done, I've got one set up. You know what I mean? But yeah, you know what I mean. So things are coming, and so people like it. Let me just send this. My mom's like, send this to me. So, but no. Here we go. But I think this is all I've been focusing on. It's been my baby since 16, 17 years old, and it's developing quite nicely. It's evolving. You know, I mean, what we're seeing now, we're barely scratching the surface. And you're already seeing the big stuff, what you consider big stuff. We haven't even delved.
That's good. So yeah. So and then obviously where can people find it? Because I put the link for the Kickstarter in the description. If they just go on.
Yeah, go on, donate. Please follow. You know, we're on Instagram, Sahelian, Sahael. You've got that. In addition to that, you know what I mean, we're on Amazon. The first 10 books of the volume are on Amazon. You know what I mean? The first 10 books, like volume 1, volume 2. So they're there. You know what I mean? So, and what I like about that is you get to go see the books, and then over time, you're going to start seeing graphic novels come out every 90 days. You see what I'm saying? So imagine seeing 4 a year. That just keeps up, you know. So we want the books out done so you can start catching up.
That's ambitious. 4 a year, that's a lot. That's a lot.
It can be done. It's already being done.
It's crazy. But again, I'm not in this space. It is not for me, and I'm well aware that I would fail at this. But obviously there's a lot of places. Kickstarter. I have the link in the description. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Facebook. Technically, there's some malfunction on my Facebook group, but it's everywhere else. So if you're watching on Facebook, you're seeing it everywhere else. I'll probably re-upload it into my Facebook page later on, if I can figure out how to do that, because I'm not very good at technology. But I just know how to invest in them, guys. But obviously there's a lot of that, and then I'm just gonna promote myself because I can do that because it's my show. So obviously, Pop Anime Comics on Twitter/X, Pop Anime Comics on Instagram. I'm putting a lot of fun stuff on Instagram. I put a lot of reels up. I put a lot of cards. I put a lot of comics. I let people know what's going on. I also have another Instagram that you should all follow, Big Boy Card Collecting. And I do inform people about cards, my breaks, stuff like this that I just broke, which is a base relic card, which is pretty sick. So this one's actually going up on eBay in probably like a week. So if you're interested in this card, you can figure it out. If you want to buy it from me right now, everybody who's seeing it, shoot me a DM. If you work something out, I'll give you a better price direct than on eBay. I don't know what I'm asking yet for it. But we can figure it out if you want it. It's a base relic card of Luis Angel Acuna's first home run. Pretty cool. His big brother is Ronaldo Acuna Jr. on the Braves. So it's a family business now.
Okay.
For pretty cool base relics. They put a base in a card, dude. Look at it. The thing's dirty, right? I should send it back saying, send me a dirty base.
Send you a new one.
You want the dirt at the base, guys. Like, that's what makes it great. I mean, this base is technically like damaged too, which is great. Like you can see, like it's all damaged. It's great because it's a used base. It's awesome. So I carry stuff like that on my eBay store as well. But I did open them up and break them. So that is Big Boy Card Collecting. Please follow that on Instagram as well. Again, I notify people about cards, stuff that's coming, give dates, and a lot of information, a lot of cool breaks, a lot of hits, and some other fun stuff that I just have coming in my collection. It's a fun place, guys, and it's a brand new Instagram channel on my end. But the main one is Pop Anime Comics. So please follow me there too. Pop Anime Comics on Facebook, Pop Anime Comics on YouTube, Pop Anime Comics on TikTok, Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. Look for comics and collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay at Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. And I have a lot of cards like this in my store. And I have stuff like this in my store. And I have stuff like this in my store. Yes, I have all 5 of them in my store. So yes, it's an expensive book. And I have a thing for Dark Magicians. It's Dark Magician Girl topless. I mean, so yes, I have all 5 of those. And yes, they are expensive. So yes, please, if you're interested in that card, definitely buy it from me. But then I also carry stuff like this as well, which are super rare one-on-one cards. So yes, I carry everything, guys, in my store, and I've been saying it for a long time. If you go to my store and you're looking for something, ask, because I might have it, and if I have it, I'll list it. And if I don't have it, chances are I know somebody who does have it, and I'll happily introduce you to them so you get what you want. So that's pretty much everything with me. If I miss something, just type in Pop Anime Comics and you'll find me. And on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
Yeah. I'm saying I have my phone. I have both of them. I'm looking at the here and there with both of them. So, I think, like I said, we're coming. You're going to, we will be in the mainstream soon enough, but, we understand that everyone has the time and place when their turn is up, and we know our turn's coming. But please support our project. Come follow us. Come ask questions. Read the content. I know once you start reading it, you'll get encased and enveloped in it, and you'll come to love it. So please do that. If you have questions, you can always reach out to me on the Instagram, and I'll answer what questions I can within reason. Nothing obviously that's going to give it away, but yeah, come follow us. Spell Sahael, and you'll see the rest of it pop up, and we'll go from there.
Well, I don't think I could have said that any better myself. And everybody, I believe that is a wrap.